So we're talking about some tips for creating predictable routines. I'm sure you're already aware, or having looked at some of the other clips, of the importance of routine in a child's life for creating that emotional stability, which in my Parent Magic book I discuss as like the foundation of the house, of the whole personality that the child is building, is really this emotional security. So routine and boundaries and setting limits is one of the best ways of creating emotional security in your children. So knowing the importance, how do we go about doing it? The top 3 tips for that is, firstly, do what you say. If you say we're going to have supper after we've been to Gran, then make sure that is what happens. Children take things very literally. So doing what you say is a way of creating a predictable routine. And then, of course, the second one is to prepare them in words if the routine is going to change, and even if it's not. So you can wake them up and say, remember, it's a school morning this morning. We've got 10 minutes to get up and brush our teeth or get dressed, whatever it is. Say it in words as it's happening and ahead of time. And then you're, of course, going to have to repeat it. So that's the second great tip. And then thirdly, when anything changes, make sure you allow for that by explaining this isn't what normally happens. So let's say you have an exception to the predicted routine, like you go out on a Friday night and you get home much later than their usual bedtime, then just explain that this isn't what normally happens, but tonight is special, different. And using that word, they then can understand what is the norm and what is different, what is out of the norm. And remember, obviously, your behavior and you keeping to your word is one of the most important tips in creating a predictable routine for kids. And once they sense and feel that predictability, their whole sense of safety and understanding of the world is a lot easier put in place. And in my book on page 5, I actually talk about a little thing of the nervous system. Tiny nerves in an infant's brain and nervous system, which we call neurons, store and actually map out all aspects of routine. So every time a routine is repeated, the neural network is strengthened. So this means that babies are literally becoming wired into routines. So much more on this in Parent Magic. And yes, just remember, routines, as long as you keep to them and tell them when it's not happening or changing, you'll be helping your child enormously. Have a great day and subscribe or like this if you want.